Make sure to hit the like button for me. Share the show when you can. And if you want to join the panel, let's click the link pinned to the top of the chat. And you too can join the panel, have your voice heard as well. Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 tonight says, quote, "I'm from America, but I'm an African first," says DC Youngfly. Why are they mad at that? This came with 2 attachments, both taking us to X. The first one is by this Arthur Watkins Jr. I had to mute him too because just whatever. But you see he has the American flag in his name. Let me make sure you guys are seeing what I'm saying. Yes, he has the American flag in his name. He says, "I guess I will never see DC Young fly the same way again. This is what Pan-Africanism does to the brain." So we'll watch the short video, maybe twice, and then we'll discuss it.
I'm from America, but I'm an African first. I love the way y'all embraced me when I came home. This is my first place, and this is where I want to belong. Listen. Keep God first. God brought me here. He sent me here to come help my people. I appreciate this love y'all been giving me. Keep God first. You understand me? We coming back. We coming back home. I love you, motherfucker. I'm from America, but I'm an African first. I love the way y'all embraced me when I came home. This is my first place, and this is where I want to belong. Listen. Keep God first. God brought me here. He sent me here to come help my people. I appreciate this love y'all been giving me. Keep God first. You understand me? We coming back. We coming back home. I love you, motherfucker.
So that's DC Young Fly in Ghana speaking to the people out there, the Africans out there. This came with a second attachment that takes us to Sankofa Warrior. He says they really treat the ideology like it's a mental illness or something. He's talking about Pan-Africanism. Mind you, these are the same people who claim to be indigenous, Native Americans, Moors, Hebrew, Olmec, and every other civilization known to man except descendants of enslaved Africans. And he's commenting to the video that we saw and to the caption that this jackass guy Arthur Watkins Jr. had to say. So it reminds me kind of and I 4Kast Radio, shout out to 4Kast and Realm in the Bush. This past week they were talking about drapetomania. And it almost sounds to me like folks in the Americas feel like if you want to connect with your Africanity, like you kind of have drapetomania that you don't, like it's like a new drapetomania kind of like to not want to be not African is to be crazy, it seems. You know what I mean? Like to not want to just identify as American or something is like insanity, and I find that very interesting. Again, how we mirror certain conversations from the other society. I'll be curious to hear what the panelists have to say. And again, if you want to join the panel, let's click the link. And you too can share your thoughts up here. Let me start with Anthony on this one. I got to unmute your mic first, Anthony. Let me start with Anthony. What are your thoughts on DC Young Fly and the sentiments by this poster that he won't really look at DC Young Fly the same again? Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I seen a video on IG, man. I think what was yesterday, a couple of days ago, and I was just like, yeah, there you go, brother. There you go, right there. I was happy, man. It made me feel good, man. About the brother, because I didn't know he had that kind of consciousness. Myself, I didn't know that he had that. But I thought it was a beautiful thing, man. It just goes to prove, it goes to show that when you have all these, and I'm gonna get on that in a minute. When you have some of these Negroes on these YouTube channels and IG channels, man, I was looking at IG this weekend and I seen so many, I mean so many Koku of these damn Negroes getting on there talking about I ain't no African and talk about being a black indigenous and aboriginal. I seen so much of it, man. I had to start blocking people, man. You know what I'm saying? I had to start blocking channels and shit. I said, man, we get this shit on up out here. I mean, this whole Native American thing just went crazy. But I'm like, I just have to go back to see this is I'm gonna tell you that right here. This was a plan. This was a plan. This was a plan straight down from the government. I'm telling you on everything. Believe this. It was a plan straight down from the government. We're gonna put some people out here to go and talk this shit and spread this shit around. And cause like I remember I had a video, I got some videos in my archives, and I think that I may have I sent some to you, Koku. It was a Black Liberation Day in 1972. The brother who organized it was from my hometown. His name's Owusu Sadoki. He was one of the chief organizers of Black Liberation Day in Washington, D.C. Man, Emiri Baraka was the chief speaker. Man, it was 30,000 black people came out. And it was a beautiful thing, man. You ought to go back and look at that. Just Google up Black Liberation Day, African Liberation Day, 1972. The video, about a 30-minute video. Man, it was awesome to see all of these black people, 30,000 black people dressing their dashikis, their afros, and sisters looking beautiful. And then the continent over there, the Caribbean, it was just everything. And they had one segment. It was simultaneous. They had Walter Rodney was in San Francisco, and he was talking about African identity and everything, and how we went from Africans to Negroes. You know what I'm saying? And so what I'm saying is, this is the stuff we all back in the 70s and the late 60s, we always embraced our African identity. For the movies and when Brother told you the Asian and to the Black is beautiful, African is beautiful. And so right now today, what we got, I think is like it's some top, it's from the top that this shit started. They come down with this whole I ain't no African shit. Because you know what they see? They see that finally our people on the continent of Africa are waking up in droves. You get a new brand of leadership that are saying enough of this neo-colonialist shit, enough of this old worshiping white shit. You know what I'm saying? And when they do it, they say, well, you know what? Them Africans over in America and in the diaspora, they in the beginning, they had the leadership in all of this race first talk. Your Marcus Garveys. You know what I'm saying? And your people like the brother like Mackendal Daaga in Trinidad and Tobago. See, they were the leaders of this. But now, see, the paradigm has shifted to Africa. So we got to dumb down these Negroes over here and put them on this old bullshit. And we're gonna give you this Dane Callaways. We're gonna give you these other black aboriginal. I'm from here, I ain't from no Africa. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna give you your Tariq Nasheed to go out and spew out the bullshit that he spew out. You know what I'm saying? Because see, we cannot allow these people to link up. We do not want these Africans in America, these Africans in the Caribbean, and these Africans in Brazil. Hey, I was just looking at it's a show on YouTube called Black in Brazil, and this brother was talking about the same thing. His show was just yesterday. It's called Black Brazil on YouTube. Look him up. He was talking about the same damn thing. And I'm saying it's in the interest of this government, of all Western governments, not to see all of these black people come together. And so we got to play that divide and conquer stuff. We got to we got to reach back and get some of them old house Negroes. Y'all go out and tell them people, man, y'all ain't got nothing to do with them damn Africans. You know, man, I heard a sister on the show the other day talking about black African American hair is different than African hair. Talking about African hair more coarse. I mean, you know, the stupidest shit that you
Why?
ever heard of.
Because they buy the weed from different places.
Yeah. Yeah, they say some of the dumbest shit that I ever heard of. Talking about their hair different, their hair stronger than ours. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I said, come on, man, with this bullshit. So what I'm saying, man, this is a plan. This is a plot, man. These Negroes, you know, like I said, them white folks play checkers, man. I mean, they play chess and we playing checkers. And we got to wake up and realize. I listened at Abraham Trejo's speech and listen at this speech that he was talking about when he was reaching out to the diaspora. And you, by the way, you know, that brother said, everybody over there, come on, y'all can come back home. Burkina Faso is open for y'all to come back home and come over and contribute. You know what I'm saying? To help build a strong Burkina Faso and a stronger Africa. But I mean, I think that I don't want to go on too long, Coco. I don't want to say that was a beautiful thing. And you're going to anytime you got some beautiful stuff, you're going to always have somebody who going to come along and try to mess it up. Hell, even your show, man. Yeah, your show, you know, you're going to lay there and have some Trojan horses going to come on your show and try to throw it off. On any platform, not just, I mean, any platform. You're going to have somebody who going to come and try to throw a monkey wrench. Oh, man, it ain't about this. So what I'm saying, we got to, you know, this going to happen, man. I mean, I get so sick and tired of these FBA. I mean, I don't even want to give them no power, man. I know we got to talk about stuff. But I mean, when I hear that type of that African shit, man, I just, man, you know, I try to tune this shit out, man. I don't even want to hear that dumbass shit. But I mean, but yeah, man, you know, I'm not gonna rate that, man. I just thought it was a beautiful thing, man. I loved it. Go ahead, Coco.
Appreciate that, Anthony. I think the thing with DC, and Cheryl is kind of talking about it here in the chat. She says, "Sorry, I can't rock with DC. He married to a non-African. I think that's the woman that died, right? And like our brother Anthony said earlier, we you know, no one had an idea that he had any consciousness. I think that's the thing. I think he didn't. I think it was one of those, and we've seen this a lot too for years now. I think it's one of those Richard Pryor types of things. You went to Africa, not thinking much about it, and then realize, wow, I am because of these folks here, right? I am because of them, and I'm an African. And I think it hits you. I haven't been to the continent yet. I hope to remedy that soon. But I think it hits you, even if you're not particularly conscious. And again, we talked about it earlier. If you're not conscious, should we hold that against you? That you don't subscribe to the, say, three pillars of consciousness? Should we hold that against you? Now, I always say that to me is a natural thing if you're a black person to date and marry black people. That's my belief. I know some people on the panel in the past have disagreed with me. But I think like a dog doesn't try to, you know, fuck around with a cat like that. You know, a dog fucks around with a dog. Like, you know, animal, you know, we as animals, as human beings, we supposed to find our own. But again, if we never got to a DC Young Fly when he was coming up, is it his fault? Should we hold that against him? Is really my question. Kind of like a follow up question to this prompt as well. Let me see what Jacadero has to say. Jacadero, what say you?
Man, it was awesome to see this for the first time. I seen his stand up. He had came to my city and I had watched his stand up, and just like Anthony was saying, I wasn't aware that he even had an interest into whether you call it consciousness or even traveling to Africa. But I want to say this in that speech that he's giving on top of this, it looks like on top of a car, he says something that I think we miss, and it's the love that you guys showed me. I'm going to deep dive on this for a little bit and say that when people travel, you guys would be surprised that especially when Americans travel to whatever country, the country that shows them hospitality the most is usually the country that they resonate for the rest of their life. And they say, hey, there's a chance that if I ever leave the United States, this would be my home. Now, I'm not saying that if he were to have a bad time, I think this is Ghana. I don't know. Maybe this is Ghana. It looks like a West African country. But if he had a bad time, I'm not necessarily sure if he would get on top of a car and have those proclamations that he had said. But I am saying that it's in each of us to show people, whether they're a guest of our homes, that we are hospitable. Now, that's not to say we should be doormats and just let people walk all over us. No, but I am saying that when you treat your guests well, best believe that they have a good impression of you, and then thus it has them feeling like this is a person and this is a home that if ever were something to go wrong, or if ever I leave wherever I'm staying at, I would make this my second home. People do that when they visit. I know that when I was in college, when people would, come and visit me, you know, they would, because of my hospitality and maybe like the good times that I would show them at my college, they would say, man, like I, if my credits transfer, man, I would consider coming here. So it just goes back to hospitality. I look at this and say that there's a big chance that just he was just treated really, really well, and thus it sparked an interest in him to say those proclamations that he had stated. But yeah, otherwise it was a great video to watch. Great clip.
Thank you for that, Jacadero. Cheryl is in the chat. In addition to saying he married a non-African, she says he got some issues with his color. Just listen to his jokes. She says he don't even like his hair texture. She says just watch the 85 South show. You'll see what I'm talking about. Cheryl, you're welcome to come up on the panel. We have a light panel tonight. You're welcome to come on the panel and express yourself some more if you wish. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says, I hope he continues to increase and refine that consciousness. And ultimately, that's my feeling too. I hope he grows in his consciousness from this point on. Buana, you've heard everything else everyone else had to say. What say you to all of it?
Yes, sir. So I'm listening to Jacadero, and saying that you should be hospitable with people. So when I come to Omaha, Nebraska, hopefully he extends the red card, and, and I can stay at his house for as long as I want. But no. I think this is a good thing for the see what Koku asked a question. Koku said that should we treat him, or how should we treat people who don't have a race consciousness kind of thing? And for me personally, you are your best representative for whatever you stand for. If I am a Christian person, but when I get around other people, I am very horrible and nasty and mean. When people think of Christians, they don't want to associate themselves with me. But if I say I'm a Christian person and a Christian person treats me well, I can say, well, okay, I'll attach my ideology to who I am. So I gotta remember, okay, Christians are like this, because they'll remember the person who was extending to me grace and kindness and respect. So here's what I try to do. Even with people who are uh, black people who are intolerant and mean and nasty in terms of black nationalism and ideas of Pan Africanism, I never get into a name calling contest. I let them call me all the names in the world because first of all, if I had a conversation with them, not only me and the person is speaking, usually someone else is listening, and they are listening to how you respond to the conversation. So I don't get nasty, I don't get flustered. I try to be as humane as possible and civil as possible. This is what Marcus Garvey talk about diplomacy. I am a diplomat of the ideology that I practice. So when I get around people who may not necessarily be race conscious, I just could be respectful of their humanity. I'll be civil to them, but like I say, I am my best representative of my ideology, just as everyone else is and what they pushing. So I am glad that he was able to have this experience. People have openings at different times in their life. Like Martin Luther King was not Martin. Malcolm X was once Detroit Red. And then he had another opening and it turned him into Malcolm X. And then he had another intellectual opening and it turned him into El Haj Malik Shabazz. You have people have different openings at different stages of their life. So you have to give some people the grace to be able to have the opportunity to grow. Now, some people like Jesse Lee Peterson, forget about it. He is going to be like that until he's dead. But but even with him, you should give people like that grace as well. Like I say, I think that people have openings at different time, and as the panel's stating and people in the audience listening, hopefully he'll be able to increase and refine his consciousness, like Trigger Happy is basically saying in the chat. So I do agree with that. As he grows, I hope that his mind grows, and I hope that the people who are riding with him, because I'm sure he has a big following and a big audience. I hope they are able to grow with him as well, so they'll take this consciousness to another kind of level. So much respect to the young brother.
Now, with that said, because I think Anthony addressed it, and Anthony, I'll come back to you in a second. Anthony addressed this, and I don't think Buana and Jacadero did really, but what's with the hate of African American going and embracing and speaking and identifying themselves as African? Why is it someone has to come along and, to use Anthony's terms, muck it up with some negativity? So I'll throw it out there. First, I'll go to Anthony, and then I'll let Buana and Jacadero add their thoughts. Anthony, what are your thoughts to that?
Yeah, yeah. You know what, Coco? I just want Born to kind of hit on it a little bit. What I was gonna say was this. Remember, we got to remember. Since I'm speaking, to my not at, but to my sister, Cheryl. I agree. Hey, look, I agree with you, Cheryl. Me, a white woman can't do a damn thing for me. Not ever. A white woman, any other woman that ain't black. What I'm saying, this thing about it though. Malcolm away, 19, 21-year-old Malcolm away, because he was running around with white girls. And then when he was that age, all he had was white girls. You know what I'm saying? But Malcolm at that age didn't have no consciousness. No, he didn't give a damn about none of it. He wouldn't think about no Pan-Africanism, about no black nationalism. He was thinking about being a hustler, being a criminal, doing what he was doing. He didn't have that. He didn't have that. Even though his parents were Garveyites. But so what if we just throw Malcolm away and know how we love Malcolm? Or what if we just throw Dr. Kwame Nkrumah away for marrying that Arab woman from Egypt? You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not justifying, them marrying non-Africans. I mean, because to me, that's terrible. I'm saying if you ain't gonna marry a black woman, if you're a man, you ain't gonna marry a black woman. If you're a sister, you ain't gonna marry a black man. You made a political choice. You know what I'm saying? And I can't trust you like that. You know what I'm saying? But I also have to put it in context. Where was their consciousness at? You know what I'm saying? Malcolm at that time probably wasn't thinking about that. So DC Young Fly, I really I don't even know him. I just seen the video. I don't know. I didn't know whether he was a comedian or I didn't know none of that. Anything about it. But let's see if the young brother if he coming into some consciousness, if this opened up his eyes, and let's give him a little chance, you know what I'm saying? And if we see him next year or whatever, running around with Becky and all that stuff, okay, yeah, throw that fool away. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I wanted to say, man. Let's don't judge the brothers and sisters who don't have no consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Against people who know better. You ain't gonna judge a child too harshly if the child don't know right from wrong. You know what I'm saying? But when they become a 16, 17-year-old, they know better. And so that's all I wanted to say right there, man. I knock off Coco.
I appreciate that, Anthony. Cheryl said, yeah, she'll come on. So let's try to give her some time to find her way on. Trigger Happy 262 Plus, to what Anthony was saying, he says they should still be criticized for their marriage or mating choices, but their work shouldn't be dismissed. Talking about Nkrumah, Malcolm X, etc. What say you, Buana and Jacadero? Anyone can answer. You guys go for it.
Okay,
Yeah,
Go ahead, Dr. John. Go ahead.
yeah. You asked why there is a resistance from FBAs or Black Americans whenever they attach themselves to the continent or anything continent adjacent. And I think it just goes back to this might be a reach, but I think that this goes back to money. Uh, you look at the NBA, and there were people that were upset that Joel Embiid and Bam Adebayo played and got quality minutes for Team USA during these last Olympics because Joel Embiid is born and raised in Cameroon, and then Bam Adebayo, one of his parents is Nigerian. So looking at it and saying, man, that was an opportunity for possibly another FBA to be on that squad, but instead they got their roster spots taken by Africans, by Black immigrants. So I think that this goes back to money. Another example is the film industry in the United States. If memory can serve me correct, I believe it was Samuel Jackson, and he had like a slight dig at Black immigrant actors, saying like,
Yes, he
these
did.
guys. Yeah, right. That was him, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, it
And
was him.
yeah, and he had like a slight dig on Black immigrant actors and saying like, I can't remember the quote, but something along the lines of like, it's high time that we start looking at how are these Black immigrants uh, uh, getting auditions and thus getting roles that anybody else that's from here can get. So I believe a lot of it is just FBAs and other African Americans seeing that, man, there's only a pot of this amount of money. I know that you guys can't see my hands, but it's maybe a handful of money, and saying like, if we're not getting that, Black immigrants are getting that, and so Black immigrants are our biggest competition. And so when they see a DC Young Fly going to Africa, they're even more disgusted because they're saying like, man, you should be every bit of a American patriot as possible, because when you go to Ghana, you're just taking your money. I believe this was in Ghana. When you go to Ghana, you're taking your money and you're empowering the Ghanaian economy rather than staying in the United States and empowering like a Black neighborhood or a United States economy.
And you know what, Jacadero, I understand that statement, and I understand Samuel L. Jackson's statement, because he is not talking as far as a global African. That statement wasn't born out of a global African perspective. It was born out of an African American perspective. So if he sees, because we discussing labor, and if he sees that people are coming in and for getting opportunities as Black actors, where he probably knows many various Black American actors who could fit the same role. He questions. I saw, my brothers them to get some jobs too. What were the brothers them who've been trying to get acting roles for years and years? So I understand that. in his perspective is where you see it as. And I'm not begrudging him because of that. Because I don't expect that um, Samuel L. Jackson should be a Pan African person. That's not his job. But I would say this. I would say this. The people like Samuel L. Jackson. One of the Americans' biggest thing when they had one of their Revolutionary Wars, I think they said no taxation without representation. No taxation without representation. So you can't tax the people without being represented. You can't without them having representation in the highest forms of government. You know what I mean? You can't take my money and reach down in my pocket without me being represented in any way as far as power is concerned. Well, the same thing applies in other ways too. Because I look at it like this. If I am in America and America mistreats me and treats me like dirt, and I go to a country that I've never been to before and I am embraced. Some of these rappers, I think Meek Mill met with the president of Ghana. He was in the presidential place. If you are treated like a king in one country and mistreated in another country, what are you supposed to do then? You're gonna go with the people who embrace you the most, not the people who reject you and spitting on you, even though you was born into a country. How the whole thing of allegiance becomes extremely questionable because you looking at this and saying, well, okay, my country treats me like shit. Yes, I have citizenship there. Yes, I pay taxes there, but they mistreat me. Whereas I have a genetic relationship with these people from this part of the world, and when I get there, they treat me like a king. So now the whole allegiance thing will become questionable. It's like, okay, maybe I should spend my money here. Maybe I should spend my money here. So, like I said, I understand where the Samuel L. Jackson is coming from as far as labor is concerned. Of course, you want to see the brothers and sisters within your community who you probably been in that community for many, many years and see them try. And you say, okay, they should be given an opportunity and chance, especially when it comes to jobs and roles that's in representation of African American people. Of course, you want them to get the first opportunity. What I would say though, for people like Samuel L. Jackson, who is, by the way, one of the most wealthiest actors in the world, is he needs to put his money where his mouth is. So you've been acting for more than maybe 20, 30 years. You need to build a studio where you could hire these people and create and hire all the people you want to hire who are African American people. It's enough to come to just talk about it, but you have enough money to facilitate that process. Yeah, because you can't make the excuse of, okay, we ain't big enough. Broke Nigerians created Nollywood. You sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars, so you should be able to put your money where your mouth is, just as Tyler Perry has, and the very few black people who have been able to build like a movie studio to be able to employ African American people. So, like I say, the talking game is beautiful, but it's not enough to do that, especially when you're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars. Put your money where your mouth is if you really mean what you say. But I'll leave it there, Kofi.
I appreciate those. By the way, Samuel L. Jackson is supposed to be a black nationalist kind of guy. He was in SNCC back when Kwame Ture and them was in SNCC. He's supposed to have some consciousness. I know his wife is supposed to have some consciousness too. So yeah,
Clarence Thomas was the Black Panther. That's years ago, bro. Years ago.
yeah. But you made an excellent point about put your money where your mouth is. Since you want to see more black folks, black Americans in particular, acting, why don't you do like Tyler Perry did and open up a studio? That's a great point. With that said, quickly, KW Dawn 7 in the chat says FBA equals fecal matter brain assimilationist. Sound like our brother Kamji verse there. Thanks for that, KW Dawn 7. Icon Fires in the chat. He said black Americans never became Native Americans until 2018. LOL. A CIA operation. With all of that said, our sister Cheryl was kind enough to join us on the panel. So Cheryl, Shoot the Breeze Stopping the Four says, quote, I am from America, but I'm an African first, says DC Youngfly. Why are they mad at that? Show, what are your thoughts? Take your time. What are your thoughts on all of it?
Um, okay, so I just first want to preface this by saying that he's a celebrity. So I mean, we can't expect too much from celebrities. So there's that. And then secondly, it says why they mad at that. I'm not sure who's mad. I think I missed that. Who was mad that he was saying that? I think I may have missed that.
Some of the FBA ADOS types. Like, as a
Oh,
matter of fact, let me show you right here. The poster, Arthur Watkins Jr. with the American flag in his handle,
ah,
said, I guess I will never see DC Young fly the same way again. This is what Pan Africanism does to the
oh,
brain. That's what that refers to.
oh, that's crazy. I mean, it's great that he went back to Africa. He connected and everything. But anytime I see celebrities, from America, from anywhere, and this happens like this, I just automatically think, well, what about like I'm thinking about like the money. Maybe 85 South Show isn't doing so great. I haven't seen them do any shows lately. Maybe the money is running dry. I think somebody said something about money earlier. Um, but DC Young Fly, I don't think he has any ill intentions. I think he's just as confused as a lot of black people are, in the States, in the Caribbean and Africa. I mean, he has a lot of this their same confusions. So I think just, I wouldn't even put much on it. It's great to see. I always love to see African American people, go to the continent and connect like that. It's very powerful to see, but in terms of like this anything coming of this, I don't see it. I kind of see them sharing their confusions. Like, okay, so a good example of this is there was an interview with DC Young Fly and Jesse Lee Peterson. It was hilarious. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but I think that interview kind of outlines the his confusions. And I think if you watch and you really analyze it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's a lot of the same confusions that a lot of our people have. So I don't know. I'll just leave it there.
I appreciate that, Cheryl. I was trying to quickly look it up, but you stopped
It was
talking.
hilarious. You gotta see it. If you haven't seen it, you're gonna laugh so hard.
What's my man name again? He was with DC Young Fly and
DC Young Fly
Je-
and Jesse Lee Peterson. It's on the Jesse Lee Peterson show.
yeah. I'm trying to find it real quick to see if I could see if I could play a little bit of it.
But the man,
Um,
like I will say, DC Young Fly, he has a lot of potential. Like he's very quick witted. He's very smart. It's just misdirected and it's misguided, and it's unfortunate. He's just confused.
let me see if I can play a little bit of it here.
That what do you think about that?
Free him.
That
Call free him.
free him?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You know what I mean? Let him go.
Let him stay here even though he's illegal.
Who said that? Free him.
Let him stay anyway.
You look illegal, nigga. Anybody come take your green card, nigga. You look like, yeah.
Apparently he
What
was
you
born.
mean?
Apparently he was born
Look
in the
like
UK.
your name Akbar Kapakapa. Fuck around with you.
Does it matter to you that he was born in the UK, came here, overstayed his visa, and
What
now
is
he's
this land? What is this land? What they call it? The land of the free? Land of the free.
isn't he in jail right now or somewhere? He
I don't
ain't
know.
free, that's for sure. Shouldn't he go back to the UK and come in the right way again if he can?
Man, my boy from the east side of Atlanta, man.
Oh yeah?
He's from Zone 6.
It's what?
He from Zone 6.
So did you know him in Atlanta?
He from Zone 6.
You ever met him?
He from Zone 6.
Have you met him personally?
Who? Yeah, I know him.
21 Savage.
I know him.
Oh, you do? What is he like in person? What's your impression of him?
He's a real genuine guy, man. You know what I'm saying? Everything he does is entertainment, man. Well, he take care of his family, he take care of the community. So In my point of view, free him.
Knowing him, were you surprised he didn't tell you that he was here
Man, what the
illegally?
hell are you talking about? There's a lot of people you know. They don't tell you everything. Who the hell to say that is true? Free him.
Oh, it might not be true about him being here illegally?
I don't know.
So you'd rather for him to stay as an illegal rather than get deported back home or sent back home?
Free him.
Amazing. Let me ask you about another thing that
I'm sorry, Jesse Lee Peterson's hard for me to watch. Amazing.
I think it's hilarious. Oh my god.
Yeah, I could see DC Young Fly is playing it up. Playing it up. Anthony, did you want to add something? Hold on, I'm trying to see if Anthony. I thought I saw him on cam.
Yeah, man, that's hilarious, man. I didn't know he did a show with Jesse Lee Peterson. But yeah, I just want to say to Cheryl though, man, I get it. I get where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying, Sister Cheryl? Because yeah, Malcolm even told us about, you got to watch out for these Negro celebrities. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what they're all about. But only thing I'm just saying, he a young guy, and you know what? Maybe if he had people like us get in his ear, we might could teach him a little something. That's all I want to say. That's good, Coco.
Appreciate that. If there's no last thoughts on this prompt,